No one sitting in Judge Judy's courtroom that morning realized they were about to witness a moment that would ripple across the internet, embarrass a senator's family, and spark a nationwide debate about privilege. Everything shifted the instant 16-year-old Ava Gray, daughter of Thomas Gray, stepped through the courtroom doors with overwhelming confidence that made people sit up straighter. She showed no nerves, no respect. She didn't even try to pretend. She walked in like she was entering a reality show she intended to win, not a courtroom where actions have consequences. Her chin was lifted, her posture screamed entitlement, and her expression made it clear she had spent her life protected from the consequences of her behavior. What nobody anticipated was how quickly her attitude would spark tension. Within half a minute, the entire atmosphere changed. Judge Judy didn't look up immediately. She was focused on the case file. A straightforward car damage dispute, nothing unusual. But the moment a loud, exaggerated sigh came from Ava's direction, Judy lifted her gaze. That single look said everything. She had seen countless entitled individuals before, yet something about Ava stood out instantly. It wasn't her age. It wasn't just the disrespect. It was the absolute certainty in her eyes that she was beyond consequences. The kind of confidence that only develops in someone who has never heard no, who has never faced real accountability, who has always relied on a last name instead of honesty. The tension in the room built quietly, like a storm waiting to break. But Ava didn't notice. She was too busy glancing at the cameras, adjusting her designer jacket, and smirking at her friend seated behind her. She treated Judge Judy like a minor inconvenience, as if the entire process was beneath her. Worst of all, she carried herself like someone who believed consequences were optional. She rolled her eyes at instructions, muttered under her breath about how pointless everything was, just loud enough for the microphones to catch it. She truly believed this would be another mess her father would fix with a phone call. What she didn't realize, what she couldn't have imagined, was that Judge Judy had already reviewed everything. She had seen the screenshots, she had read the messages Ava sent, bragging about making this pathetic woman cry. She had watched the video where Ava mocked Lisa Ramos, calling her dramatic and insulting her car. And she had already spotted every inconsistency in Ava's story. Every lie, every deflection, every attempt to twist the narrative. All of it sat neatly in the folder on Judy's desk, ready to be dismantled. And it was about to happen faster than Ava could react. Before that moment of reality hit, before the courtroom fell into stunned silence, anyone watching could feel something major was about to unfold. The second Ava spoke, the energy in the room dropped. She leaned forward, crossed her arms, and said with a quiet, mocking laugh, "Honestly, Your Honor, I don't even understand why we're wasting time on this. My dad writes the laws you're trying to enforce." A collective gasp filled the room. Judge Judy didn't react. That single sentence would go on to become one of the most replayed courtroom lines in years, fueling reaction videos, debates, commentary, and media discussions everywhere. It set the stage for what followed, one of the quickest, most decisive, and most embarrassing reality checks a spoiled teenager had ever faced in that courtroom. But in that moment, Ava smiled. She thought she had already won. And what made it unforgettable was that she truly believed it. She believed her father's power made her untouchable. She believed she could insult a judge on national television and walk away victorious. She believed connections mattered more than truth. What she didn't understand yet was that Judge Judy's courtroom is the one place where status, influence, and family name mean nothing. What followed wasn't just a courtroom exchange, it was the complete breakdown of ego, privilege, and the illusion of immunity. Ava Gray was seconds away from the most humbling lesson of her life, and Judge Judy was fully prepared to deliver it. The moment Ava finished her arrogant claim about her father, the entire courtroom energy shifted. Even the bailiff, who had seen years of shocking behavior, looked up in disbelief. Across from Ava, Lisa Ramos lowered her gaze, not out of shame, but out of second-hand embarrassment. She expected denial, maybe manipulation, but not someone walking confidently into their own downfall. Judge Judy, however, didn't rush. She didn't interrupt. Instead, she allowed silence to settle in, heavy, deliberate, and uncomfortable. The kind of silence that doesn't just fill a room, it reveals it. Ava shifted in her seat, tapping her polished nails against the desk, clearly irritated by the lack of response. But that silence wasn't accidental. It was intentional. She was analyzing, calculating, carefully watching every tiny shift in Ava's expression. And what she observed only confirmed what she had already gathered from the file. This wasn't just entitlement. This was something more dangerous. The kind that develops in privileged teenagers who grow up believing consequences don't apply to them. They learn to use their protection like armor, turning it into a weapon when challenged. Judge Judy had dealt with adults like this before, defensive, loud, manipulative, and unwilling to accept fault. But seeing it in someone so young triggered something sharper, more urgent. Something that made it clear. This behavior needed to be stopped now. Taking a slow, controlled breath, Judge Judy lifted the case file. "Miss Gray," she said, her voice calm and even, almost neutral on the surface, "why don't you explain what happened that day?" Ava leaned back in her chair, as if she'd been asked to do something trivial she didn't care about. "I already did." She casually jerked her thumb toward Lisa. "She left her car behind mine and blocked me in, so I tapped her bumper. Anyone would have done the same. It's not my fault she drives a cheap." "Stop." The word cut through the air instantly. Ava blinked, caught off guard. "You tapped her bumper?" Judge Judy asked slowly. "Yes," Ava replied with confidence, crossing her legs, completely unaware she had just admitted everything. "I barely touched it." "She's exaggerating because she wants money." Lisa opened her mouth to respond, but Judge Judy raised a finger without even glancing in her direction. "Not yet." Then her attention snapped back to Ava. "So your position is that the plaintiff caused you to hit her vehicle?" Ava shrugged. "Basically. She parked badly. I was late. What else was I supposed to do?" A wave of reaction moved through the courtroom. Quiet gasps mixed with disbelief. People couldn't believe what they were hearing. It was entitlement in its rawest form, so blatant that even the cameras seemed to linger a little longer. Judge Judy's face remained unchanged. "And you believe that gives you the right to damage someone else's property?" she asked, "and then take issue with them for reacting to it?" Ava let out a scoff. "Well, yeah, she made me late. Do you even understand how important my schedule is? My dad—" "Your father is not here," Judge Judy interrupted sharply. "And this is not his courtroom." For just a split second, Ava's confidence faltered, her posture stiffened. She tried to mask it with attitude, but the crack was visible to Judy and to everyone else watching. Finally, Lisa spoke, her voice quiet but steady. "Your Honor, I have security footage. She didn't just tap my car. She hit it 3 times, hard, and then laughed before driving away." Judge Judy gave a small nod. She had already reviewed the footage earlier. The video was clear and damaging. Ava repeatedly reversed and drove forward into Lisa's car, not as a light touch, but as deliberate impact, again and again. "Miss Gray," Judge Judy said calmly, "are you aware that leaving the scene after damaging someone's vehicle is against the law?" Ava rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, can we not make this such a big deal? It wasn't serious. The scratches were tiny. My dad handles stuff like this all the time." That sentence hung in the air. "My dad handles stuff like this." Judge Judy slowly placed the file down on her desk, with careful precision. The energy in the room shifted, heavier, colder. This was no longer just about a damaged car. This was about a teenager openly admitting she believed her father's influence could erase her actions. And Judge Judy had no intention of allowing that belief to stand. "Your father's position," she said quietly, "has absolutely no relevance to your responsibilities as a citizen. In fact, the more you bring him up, the clearer it becomes that you think you're above consequences." Ava opened her mouth to argue again. "Don't speak." The command was immediate. "Not yet." The entire courtroom felt it. The tightening tension, the sense that something significant was about to happen. Ava's smirk began to fade. Her foot stopped tapping. Her hands gripped the edge of the desk. For the first time she felt it. A loss of control. What Ava didn't realize was that Judge Judy was only moments away from presenting evidence that wouldn't just challenge her story. It would completely dismantle it, along with the illusion she had lived under her entire life. Ava's confidence, already shaken, took another hit when Judge Judy finally opened the folder resting on her bench. The room leaned in, almost instinctively. This was the turning point. The shift from questioning to revealing. "Miss Ramos," Judge Judy said evenly, You submitted the security footage as Exhibit A. Yes, Your Honor. Judge Judy lifted the USB drive, holding it between her fingers like undeniable proof. Ava tried to keep her composure, but her eyes betrayed her. They flicked toward the drive, widened briefly, then narrowed again as she forced her attitude back into place. We'll get to this shortly, Judge Judy said. But first, I want to hear the rest of your statement. Miss Ramos, go on. Lisa gave a small nod. She wasn't being dramatic or overly emotional, just exhausted. Your Honor, I approached Ava right after I saw the footage. I asked her why she hit my car like that. And what was her response? Judge Judy asked. Lisa paused briefly, then looked straight at Ava. She said, "Go ahead and cry. My dad practically runs this town. Nothing is going to happen to me." The reaction in the courtroom was immediate, like a shockwave. Disbelief spread across the room. Even the bailiff slowly turned toward Ava, almost expecting her to deny it. She didn't. Instead, Ava rolled her eyes even harder, folding her arms tightly, as if she were the one being treated unfairly. Judge Judy leaned forward slightly. "Did you say that, Miss Gray?" Ava hesitated, then shrugged with exaggerated indifference. "I don't know. People twist things all the time." "Twist things," Judy repeated. "She quoted you almost word for word." Ava smirked. "Then I guess she has an impressive memory." Judge Judy exhaled slowly, a calm, measured breath that signaled something serious was coming. "Miss Gray, do you understand what accountability means?" Ava scoffed. "Yes, obviously." "Interesting," Judy replied. "Because everything I've heard suggests you think accountability applies only to other people." "That's not." "Stop." The sharp interruption cut her off instantly. Judy's hand lifted slightly from the bench. "When I am speaking, you will not interrupt." Ava's mouth snapped shut so quickly it made a faint sound. Judge Judy continued, her voice steady but firm. "Your father may write laws, but I enforce rules, and in this courtroom, your last name carries the exact same weight as anyone else's." "None." A murmur of amazement passed through the audience. For the first time, Ava looked genuinely shaken. Lisa continued, maintaining her composure. "Your Honor, it wasn't just the incident. Ava bragged about it at school. She laughed with her friends. She even posted a screenshot from the security footage on her Instagram story with the caption, 'Oops, she'll be fine.'" This time, the room reacted even more strongly. Whispers spreading as people tried to process what they were hearing. Judge Judy slowly turned her gaze back to Ava. "Is that accurate?" Ava swallowed, her jaw tightening. "It was just a joke." "A joke," Judy repeated calmly. "Damaging someone's vehicle, leaving the scene, mocking the person affected, and then posting about it publicly. That's your idea of humor." Ava shifted in her seat, her confidence flickering. "It wasn't that serious." "It is serious," Judge Judy snapped. "Extremely serious." The courtroom went completely still. "Miss Gray," she continued, her voice lowering into a controlled, piercing calm, "do you believe the law bends for someone your age?" Ava stayed silent. "I'll answer that for you," Judy went on. "Yes, you do. You believe your father's position protects you. You believe your mistakes disappear because someone else fixes them. You believe property doesn't matter, people don't matter, and accountability is optional." She leaned back slightly, her eyes fixed firmly on Ava. "But today, that ends." Ava tried to speak, but no words came. She could feel it, everything shifting. The shield she had relied on her entire life was cracking, weakening, moments away from collapsing. Without breaking eye contact for long, Judge Judy reached forward and inserted the USB into the courtroom monitor. "Let's watch the footage." Her face turned pale in a way no makeup could conceal. She swallowed, trying to pass it off as a steady breath, but it didn't work. Everyone in the room could feel it. She was scared. The footage began. On the screen, Ava's car reversed, then lunged forward into Lisa's bumper. Once, twice, 3 times. Then she stepped out, looked at the damage, laughed, took out her phone to snap a picture, and drove away. A wave of gasps filled the courtroom, all the color drained from Ava's face. Judge Judy watched without blinking. When the clip ended, she slowly turned toward Ava, her expression cold and controlled. "Miss Gray," she said quietly. "Do you still want to call that a nudge?" For the first time, Ava's voice cracked. I didn't mean." "You meant exactly what you did," Judge Judy interrupted. "And you meant everything you said afterward." Ava went still. Everything she had relied on, her confidence, her sense of protection, her belief that she was untouchable, was crumbling right in front of her. And Judge Judy wasn't finished, not even close. Ava sat motionless, truly frozen for the first time since entering the courtroom. The same girl who had walked in full of confidence and superiority, now looked like someone trapped in a situation she couldn't escape. Judge Judy closed the folder slowly, letting the silence stretch until it became almost unbearable. "All right," she said at last, "let's go through this." Her voice was calm, too calm, the kind of calm that always came right before something decisive. "Miss Gray," she continued, "you deliberately struck another person's vehicle multiple times. You laughed about it, you recorded it, and then you used your father's position to intimidate the victim." Ava swallowed. "I didn't mean." Judge Judy raised a finger. "Stop." Ava immediately fell silent. "You didn't mean to get caught. That's what you meant." Ava's mouth stayed open for a moment, then slowly closed. There was nothing left, no attitude, no arrogance, no comeback. Judge Judy went on. "Let me explain something to you, Miss Gray. Power without responsibility isn't power. It's destruction waiting to happen. And that's exactly what you've demonstrated." A quiet murmur of agreement spread through the room. Judge Judy turned toward Lisa. "Miss Ramos, continue." Lisa nodded, her voice steady. "Your Honor, after she posted the video, my insurance refused to cover the damage. They said it was intentional, not accidental." Ava flinched. "I had to pay for everything myself," Lisa continued. "I worked 2 jobs. I couldn't afford the repairs. My car was shaking every time I drove it. I had to leave night shifts early because I was afraid it would break down somewhere unsafe." Judge Judy blinked once. "What was the total cost?" $14,200, Lisa replied. "And another $1,800 for security cameras, so this wouldn't happen again." Ava's jaw dropped. "That's ridiculous." Judge Judy turned sharply. Silence. Ava shrank back in her seat. "What you caused is what's ridiculous," Judge Judy added. Lisa continued. "I also had to replace all 4 tires. They were slashed 2 days after I confronted her." The courtroom reacted with shock. Ava sat upright instantly. "I didn't do that. That wasn't me. We'll address that," Judge Judy said firmly. "Miss Ramos, go on." Lisa nodded. "I started receiving harassment online, anonymous messages calling me names, accusing me of trying to ruin Ava's life. It got so bad that my doctor diagnosed me with stress-related hypertension. I had to pay $3,000 in medical bills." Ava pressed her hands against her forehead. "I never told anyone to do that." Judge Judy remained unconvinced. "But your followers acted because of what you posted. Actions have consequences, Miss Gray. Especially reckless ones." Lisa took a breath. "And the day before I filed this case, someone keyed my entire car. The bumper too. 7 deep scratches, $2,600 in damage." The room buzzed with reactions. Ava looked shaken now, not defensive, not smug, just overwhelmed. Judge Judy folded her hands. "Miss Gray, do you understand what this situation has become? This is no longer just careless behavior. This is a chain reaction caused by your actions." Ava shook her head, her voice trembling. "I swear, I didn't slash the tires or key the car. That wasn't me." The Judge Judy's tone didn't soften. "Then perhaps you should have considered the consequences before setting everything in motion." Ava's lip quivered. Judge Judy then opened a second, thicker folder. This time, Ava's father shifted in his seat behind her. "Now," Judge Judy said, "let's address the reputational damage." Ava's eyes widened. "Reputational damage?" "Yes," Judge Judy replied. "Your actions caused harm that goes far beyond vehicle repairs." Ava's father stood up. "Your Honor, with all due." Judge Judy raised her hand without even looking at him. "Sit down, Senator Gray." The authority in her voice instantly silenced the room. He sat. "Miss Ramos," Judge Judy said, "tell me about the video." Lisa nodded, her voice unsteady from emotion, not fear. "Your Honor, after Ava uploaded the footage of her hitting my car, my workplace saw it. They said it made the company look unsafe. They warned me that if the situation continued, I could be asked to step down." Ava's expression tightened. Lisa swallowed. "I was also targeted online. Strangers were calling me names, accusing me of lying. I had to deactivate all my accounts. Every time my phone buzzed, I felt a panic attack coming on." The courtroom turned toward Ava, who now looked like she was shrinking under the weight of everything. Judge Judy asked, "Do you have an estimate for damages related to emotional distress and harm to your reputation?" Lisa pulled out a document. "Yes, Your Honor. My lawyer helped calculate it. It comes to around $52,000. Ava's father inhaled sharply. Ava whispered, "Oh my God." Judge Judy gave a small nod. "I see." She closed the file. "Miss Gray, I hope you're listening carefully, because everything you just heard is what happens when someone confuses privilege with permission." Ava stared down at her hands. They were trembling now. Small, uncertain, no longer powerful. For the first time since the hearing began, she looked genuinely afraid. But Judge Judy wasn't finished. Ava sat completely still, her earlier confidence gone. The girl who had walked into the courtroom feeling untouchable now looked like someone trapped with no way out. Judge Judy folded her hands, letting the silence settle before speaking again. "Miss Gray," she said slowly, "I want you to understand something very clearly. Every consequence you are facing today is the result of your own actions." Ava swallowed hard. Her eyes shimmered, but she said nothing. "For years," Judge Judy continued, "I have dealt with entitled individuals who believed respect was optional, but it is rare, very rare, to see someone so young show such a consistent disregard for others." Ava's father shifted in his seat, but one sharp glance from Judge Judy stopped him cold. Lisa's eyes were still red as she sat there, while the audience watched her with sympathy, and Ava with a mix of disbelief and frustration. "Now," Judge Judy said, "we are going to finalize this judgment." Ava's breathing slowed, like she was bracing herself. Before delivering the decision, Judge Judy leaned forward. "Miss Gray, stand up." Ava rose slowly. Her chin trembled. Her hands shook. Judge Judy's voice softened slightly, not to comfort, but to make every word land harder. "What you've done is not just a teenage mistake. It reflects the behavior of someone who has never been told no, never been held accountable, never been taught that actions don't just inconvenience people, they harm them." Ava blinked quickly, trying to hold back tears. "Your father's position does not shield you here," Judge Judy said. "Your last name does not reduce your responsibility, and your excuses do not undo the damage." A tear slipped down Ava's cheek. "Now sit." Ava sat down. Judge Judy opened the folder one final time. "Miss Ramos," she said, "I am awarding you the full $200 for vehicle repairs, $1,800 for security cameras, $3 in medical expenses, and $2,600 for the damage to your bumper." Ava's jaw quivered. "That brings the total to the $11,600. Lisa nodded, emotional but relieved. Judge Judy continued, "In addition, I am awarding $15,000 for emotional distress caused by intentional public humiliation, and another $37,000 for reputational damage and foreseeable financial loss." Ava let out a quiet gasp. Her father shut his eyes tightly. "That brings the total judgment to..." Judge Judy paused, not for theatrics, but to let the weight of it settle. $163,600. Payable immediately. Ava's head jerked upward. "What? I don't have." "Of course you don't," Judge Judy cut in sharply. "Because you've never been required to take responsibility for anything in your life. That changes now." Ava's father rose to his feet, unable to stay silent. "Your Honor, she's 16. That amount is..." "Set down, Senator Gray," Judge Judy snapped. "You should have taught her this lesson years ago." A wave of reactions spread through the courtroom. Gasps, whispers, quiet approval. Judge Judy continued, "Your daughter deliberately damaged property, fueled harassment, used social media as a weapon, and hid behind your political status. Every one of those actions carries consequences." Tears streamed down Ava's face now. The defiance was gone. The attitude had vanished. She wasn't arguing anymore, she was shattered. "Miss Gray," Judge Judy said firmly, "look at Miss Ramos." Ava obeyed instantly, as if she no longer had the strength to resist. Lisa sat across from her, tired, hurt, but composed. "This is the person whose life you disrupted," Judge Judy said. "This is who you laughed at. This is who you mocked. This is the person you hit with your car and then treated it like a joke." Ava's lips trembled. I'm sorry." Lisa blinked, caught off guard by the sincerity. But Judge Judy didn't soften. "You're not apologizing because you understand the damage. You're apologizing because you're finally facing consequences. There's a difference." Ava lowered her gaze again. Judge Judy closed the file. Judgment for the plan 163-600. She struck the gavel. Court is adjourned. The sound echoed through the room like a final verdict on everything that had just unfolded. Ava let out a broken sound, half sob, half gasp, as the reality hit her all at once. Her father hurried toward her, but Judge Judy had already stood and walked away, carrying the quiet authority of someone who had just restored balance. Lisa took a deep breath, tears of relief filling her eyes. Nothing was magically fixed, but for the first time, justice felt real. Ava stood slowly, her shoulders trembling. She looked around the courtroom and realized that everyone who had seen her walk in with confidence had now witnessed her downfall. Whispers spread through the crowd. She deserved that. Maybe she'll finally learn. Someone finally told her no. Her father tried to comfort her, but she pulled away, not out of defiance, but out of shame, a deep, unfamiliar kind of shame. For the first time in her life, the world hadn't bent to her will, it had pushed back. Lisa moved toward her father, who embraced her with pride. The ordeal was over. As Ava was guided out by the bailiff, not arrested, just escorted, she wiped her face again and again, as if trying to erase what had happened. But it was too late. The lesson had already been carved in place. Power doesn't shield you when you use it to harm others. Respect has to be earned, and arrogance always comes with a cost. That was the day Senator Gray's daughter learned what she should have been taught long ago. Consequences don't care who your father is.